Recent Supreme Court ruling handed down this week is now calling in to question the last 40 years of rules in trucking. So now, are we seeing chaos being handed down by the Supreme Court, or is there something else afoot? Can this be seen as a form of help to the small guy, or a big win to big trucking? Let's hear from you. Do you believe the critics that say trucking's best days are ahead? Call our studio line, click the StreamYard link, and let's take trucking to the front lines.
Shall we begin?
Yet another day in the jungle. We are here. Not even the forces of traffic delays and schedule conundrums can keep us from running the Truth in Broadcasting Network. That's right, the Truth in Broadcasting Network. An effort I and I alone started to do one thing: make trucking great again. We are here talking today about, as poorly as my intro ran, the recent ruling in the Supreme Court. There's a lot to be said for progress, and there's a lot to be said for change. But when you hand down a ruling as significant as the one that relates to the Chevron decision some years ago, there's bound to be consequences. Other trucking channels have talked about it. I've seen a number of news-related reels on the topic. So I figured I'd pick one article and we'd sit and talk about not only the good, but the bad. And that's what we do here. Trucking City News, Trucking City Media. We are all about pulling out the issues from everyday news, talking about both sides of each issue, and giving you the voice necessary to make a difference. Because after all, you can get on any news show anywhere. You can watch all day long, and you can even see some of the pre-canned and pre-selected comments they put up to make it look good to you. But only this show brings you the news, the issues, gives you the opportunity to call in and tell me something I don't know. I've said a while ago, I'm going to start bringing back on a regular basis. You can either prove them wrong or prove me right. Either way, this show's not about me. This show is about you and your willingness to contribute and get off the fence and actually make a difference. So you can call us here on studio line 860-785-3547. Please give me a couple of minutes to talk about the story first. And if you call in, please reduce your volume on your player, because that will create a feedback loop and people will not be able to talk to you. Send me your ideas for stories. That's truckingnews@outlook.com. That's truckingnews@outlook.com. Look at the link in the chat if you'd like to come up on the camera, on the board, and sit here and have a conversation with us. If you've been in trucking, if you know about trucking, if you feel passionate about making trucking great again, by all means, hit that link. It's StreamYard. It'll bring you right up to me. We can sit here and have an honest dialogue. And that is what we do here. It's all about change. It's all about making trucking great again. I have with me my usual panel of guests that join me. Again, if you're so interested, click on the StreamYard link. I've also placed the link to the StreamYard app to be able to come up here and talk to me. Also in the description. So you can click on that link and you can become part of the show. Leave your comments in the chat. And if you're watching this on the replay, don't be afraid to go down below and leave your comments under the video itself. I welcome all feedback. Please trust me. Again, this is not me. This is all about the industry, and this is all about you. Heidi ho, my friend John. How are things in the Driving with John world today?
It's going well. It's going well.
Mm-hmm.
If you notice, I have a new byline down there.
I did not. Just ask John. I like that.
That's right.
That's it.
So you
That's
just have to
right.
ask me. I'll give you an answer. You might not like it, but I will give you an answer to anything you ask.
There you go. That same can be said for me. I mean, I slightly changed mine. Mine says trucks move freight, you make the difference. I kind of play with it every time I do a show. So, what about the grumpy old codger? Is he with us today and actually grumpy, or is he actually trying to fake it?
Who, me? Oh, stay
Yeah,
grumpy.
you.
That's my professional line.
I hear you. Let's welcome in some of the guests who've taken their lovely time to leave us some comments. Of course, everybody's priding themselves on being first and second. WCF Invader, even though I don't see his comment on my StreamYard right now, you were first, dude. Got to give you credit. Welcome to the show, my friend. For some reason, I'm not seeing his comments.
Actually,
Mind you, people, I'm going to let you know right now. Recently, StreamYard did some sort of update. I do not know what it is. I may not see all of your comments on this show, but rest assured, I'm going to find out what's going on, and I'm going to find out why. Because last week's show and this week, I'm not seeing all the comments for some reason. So my
WCF
apologies to you
Invader
guys if you are leaving comments and I'm not reading them.
and Shannon Thomas Trucking, neither one are on StreamYard. I've been checking the comments, comparing.
Okay. Please rely on John to get your message across. I'm sorry, I don't know what's going on, but he can see your stuff. I can't. So my apologies to you. Please leave comments. And if you want to become part of the show, you can also call in or leave me an email. Either way, I welcome it. Actually, Shannon Thomas Trucking does have something here. I do see her. She's got a moderation rank. So I know, right? Welcome to the show. Let me see here. Melissa, super excited to be here. We're super excited to see you here. I'm glad you're part of the show. Sorry we're dealing with technical issues with StreamYard that we are, but Rolling Stones, the man with the plan in Bordentown, Jersey. God bless you. Thank you for joining us today. Swifty Swift, howdy. I'm not sure I'd want to put that on my channel name, but welcome to you anyway. Glad to see you here. Seven Seas is in the house. I like this. We're seeing some regular names. I thank you guys for joining us. Let me see. Deborah Wilkes, good evening. I'm glad you're with us. Kyle with a question. I'm at 125 subscribers. I still can't go live. I don't know what's going on.
I already answered him.
Did you? Okay. All
Yeah,
right.
I think it's 500, but you can go live now. You can go live with 0. You go to StreamYard down in the description and click on it. It says try it free. It'll take you there. You can use it for free.
Yeah.
And you can stream
Whoever
immediately.
channel you're on. Yeah. I think if you click on driving with John, his StreamYard link will be under his. Mine will be under mine. I mean, all of us have it. So, but yeah, certainly use that. And it'll help us, and it'll also give you a discount as well. So, asking me when I'm going to be by there. Well, I know that we have it with the changeover of jobs. I know I have a depot close by somewhere, I think in Newark. So it's just according to when they send me out there. So I'll get there. I know I will at some point, but you will get to see me and meet me.
Hey,
So,
boss man.
what's
I'm
up?
sorry to interrupt. Turn off Grumpy's camera.
Oh yeah, Grumpy. Yeah, shame on you, my friend. Yeah, there you go. Let me see. Going. Hey man, it's live TV. What can I say? No,
I know.
things will happen. Things will happen. Where's Seven Seas? I think they're communicating there.
All right.
Well, I don't see
think that's
any.
everything. Let's get into this.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just making sure I don't miss anybody, especially seeing how things are so screwy with StreamYard here. Okay, so here's the scoop. Supreme Court decided to shake things up and overturned a 40-year-old ruling. The Chevron decision, which let federal agencies handle the nitty-gritty details when laws were vague. The ruling was apparently the thorn in the side for conservatives, and now, with the conservative majority court, they axed it. The decision is seen as a big win for business interests and a blow to what critics call the administrative state. Chief Justice Roberts and his conservative buddies think judges, not agency experts, should be the ones to interpret the laws. On the flip side, Justice Keegan and her liberal pals are too happy, claiming this gives courts control over stuff they know nothing about. This move could put billions of dollars at stake and make it harder for federal regulators to enforce protections and safety standards. Oh, and it seems this is just the latest in a series of deregulatory decisions by the court, which may argue and will give corporations more power to challenge regulations and potentially undermine protections for the public. So cheers to these legal battles. My 2 cents, I'm going to state it plain and simple. If you give any government agency other than Congress and Senate 1 inch, they're going to take a mile. And I think that in not talking about Chevron specifically, but if you want to look back in the last 40 years, I mean, these agencies have been, and I'll use it just like I think it, hell-bent to regulate the dog crap out of us and make things almost impossible for profitability's sake. I think it's high time that the right thing is done and open the door to what I think should be a more controlled environment for passing new laws. What say you, John?
Yeah. Well, the thing is there is so much in that Chevron doctrine that was overwritten over the last 40 years in one decision. It's going to change. If it goes the way it should go, it should wipe all of that out. And in order for any of that to come back, it actually has to go through Congress and Senate, which we all know is like, moving in immovable force. So my question is, how soon can we delete our trucks? How soon can we start getting rid of some of this stuff that they forced us to do that's actually not good for us?
Well, and I follow up with, will it affect some of the more recent problems? And I'm almost half tempted to let the cat out of the bag, but I almost don't, because now this has given rise to actually quite a few interesting videos, and I'm thinking about making quite a few, because when you think about it, this whole decision overturning 40 years worth of legislative doctrines now in question.
Well, I wouldn't call it legislative. I'd call it regulatory overstepping, but yeah.
Okay, put the college words aside. Dude, the last 40 years, seriously, the last 40 years, they've been passing rule after rule after rule. Now, when I say they, has Congress actually passed most of these?
None.
No. It's the EPA. It's Newsom and his good friends out in California. It's God knows half a dozen other agencies which have absolutely no time nor patience to go sit in front of Congress and actually lobby them the way they're supposed to. Now these laws that have been passed, and I'm talking about most recent, I'm talking about the ones that, have a lot to do with whether we can be independent contractors versus being W-2 employees. How about all the stuff like you just referenced a minute ago, John? DEF, compliance and, all this zero emissions crap. I mean, all that's getting forced down our throat by Newsom and the EPA twits out west. No one has ever once said to Congress, hey, does this make sense? Should it be a law? And everybody's acting like California is setting the gold standard. I challenge you. They don't set the gold standard. They may act like they do, but I think personally somebody needs to slap his. Anyway.
Well, you brought up the EPA, but I have another question for you. How about the Department of Transportation? ELDs and all of that. That's never been done by legal means. It's always been done by doctrine from a regulatory group. So, I mean, does that fall under this? Because I started doing a little bit of research, but I haven't done enough to tell you for sure. But I'm wondering what all falls under this. Like, the amount of stuff that could change in trucking like that is crazy.
You know what? To those watching the show, put your answer in the comment. I'd like to know what you watching the show actually think. But here's my 2 cents. I think you got to be careful because you're going to jump down a rabbit hole that will thoroughly and disgustingly confuse everyone, and I do mean everyone. DOT, FMCSA, EPA, all these different agencies that have their hands in this industry. Just for sake of discussion, John, you mentioned hours of service. Okay.
Mhm.
When I got into trucking back in 2012, they were originally deciding. Now, this wasn't Congress. This was the FMCSA. They were
Right.
originally deciding to put the new mandates into place with, this was before ELDs, the whole thing about 34-hour reset. Years ago, before you and I started, it was 8-hour break and then you could drive. 8-hour break, then you could drive. That was the standard. Well, now it's 10 hours, 11 drive, 14 on. They made that switch seemingly overnight. But who made that rule? Who made that law? The rulemaking process was done through the FMCSA, probably backed up by DOT. Okay, so that's two agencies. Now, does this Chevron doctrine mean that now all of a sudden we can go back and say, do it right, pal? And then in the meantime, what do? Do we still play by these rules? Are these rules now illegal? Are they? What is it? So you can see the conundrum involved here, John. If you start second guessing every single thing, you got chaos.
Well, isn't it kind of poetic justice that what they do to us is almost chaos in our lives, and all of a sudden it turns in a flip of a switch? I mean,
it is really, yeah.
I'd like to see them scramble a little bit.
It would be funny, not just to scramble. I want to see them squirm. I really do. Because they do it to us all the time. They really do. More to your point, Grumpy, I want to know what you think, my friend. You're driving down the road. You're not making any noise, any sense. I want to hear your opinion there, Grumpy. Well, he's obviously decided he don't want to talk. So, you know what, Grumpy? You can be grumpy all you want. I may just get back to you. I may not. You know what? I could be grumpy too. Anyway, I like the fact that actually, it's more than just the right thing to do. It really is. I like the fact that somebody actually had the balls. Now, just bear with me. I initially said it was conservative and all that. Okay. Someone had to know this was coming. Think about it. Right now, the Supreme Court is split up on a majority of conservative judges. Someone had to know this was going to happen. So,
well, I don't even think it's a conservative or liberal thing. I think it's just think about it. Every other segment of life is regulated by the rule of law. Mm-hmm. There are other industries that are regulated by regulations, but how many of those regulations were put into place without any really public involvement? They just said, we're going to do it, and they rubber stamped it, and we had to follow it.
And again, that just goes to prove a point. Everybody's been comfortable up to now, and now all of a sudden the Supreme Court has said, you know what, this comfort isn't right, and you know what, it's high time laws were passed in this country the right way. So maybe this is the beginning. Maybe, and this is what I keyed into in the intro. And this one I'm going to hand to you, Grumpy, because you've been just playing favorites with the camera this whole time.
I didn't have nothing to do with that camera a while ago.
Yeah, you owe me. Anyway, as I intimated in the intro, okay, think about all the laws just like I said earlier, and think about now with everything being up in question the way it is. Do you think, and this one's right down your alley, Grumpy, do you think that by the standards, by this ruling and everything going on, do you think the Supreme Court is handing over power to either us, or do you think they're handing over power to the corporations? Who do you think is going to get a leg up with this recent decision to overturn 40 years of rulings? What do you think, Grumpy?
My honest opinion on that would probably be, it's probably going to be a corporate decision type thing. as far as us small people and just plain drivers out here, I don't believe we're going to have much of a leg to stand on to begin with, any of it, because when it came to making the decision to begin with, we didn't have a say anyhow. It just boom, you're going to have to do this, So
And I was just going
no.
to bring that up because you bring up an interesting point. And that interesting point is simply this. Every single time the FMCSA decides they're going to go through a rulemaking process, what do? They put out a memorandum saying we're going to do this. This is what the rule is. And they give the general public, or trucking professionals, if you will, a very short window to give feedback. 9 times out of 10, what do? They go ahead, they take that feedback, they put it in a circular file and say, we're going to make my own decisions. Hell with you guys. That's usually what they do. And who's the benefactor of that process?
Yep.
Like the background. I love it. Who's the benefactor? Usually the corporations. So to your point, Frank, yes, I think you're right. But think about how many rules have been passed in the same vein that have also gone against us, that now maybe are in question and can be flipped. How long do you think it's going to take for somebody to come up and argue a point to give you and me an honest leg to stand on and actually make the corporations run for their money? What do you think, John?
Well, someone's gonna, like you're basically stating, someone's gonna have to take it to court and challenge it, and it's gonna have to be somebody big enough that can handle the financial load that's gonna take. It won't be a mega carrier, but probably a mid-sized carrier. Somebody's gonna have to, because I couldn't, you can't. Like the money that it would take to fight this in court and win is much more than one person could do that drives a truck. So maybe like a one of the owner operator organizations that are out there. I don't know, but yeah, someone's going to challenge it. It's coming.
If anybody's going to be first, I think Chris Spears is going to be first to challenge a number of, not so much to give us a leg up, because Chris Spears hardly ever stands up for us. He can't, because he's representing people, his members, that are corporations. But I do see him challenging some of these rules that we're talking about, and some of them may actually come to benefit us. But to Stephen Thurman, who always does the corporation, good point, my friend. He falls right behind that false hope.
Well, I'm confused what he means by that. Well, what is the false hope here? That they're going to actually challenge rules that are unconstitutional because they weren't passed by law?
I think what he's talking about is what you and I just got done dialoguing over, and that's the individual, the owner operators getting a stand or a leg up. I think that's what he means by that. Comment and correct me if I'm wrong, Stephen, but I think, honestly, initially, I think we're going to see huge boons and wins for corporate entities, simply because a lot of these corporations, they've had their hand in passing some of these laws, but they've also challenged quite a few too. So,
well, think about it. It doesn't actually affect
thumbs up. So he agrees.
A mega carrier pretty much at all. It affects the smaller carriers. So I don't think the mega carriers care. I honestly don't think they care.
Well, but the mega carriers is all about the money. When you're talking about money, mega carriers are always going to look at their bottom line first. They don't care about like
so let me ask you a question.
Though they're not looking out for the 85% of truckers in this country that have authorities in less than 10 trucks. They don't care. Go ahead with your question.
Well, just think about it. Let's just take one. Let's say the aftermarket system, the after treatment system. Like it doesn't benefit the mega carriers to fight getting rid of that. It actually benefits them to get rid of it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're talking better fuel economy, less wear and tear on the trucks, less repairs. That benefits them. So they're not going to stop whoever decides to challenge this.
Yeah, my apologies, WCF Invader. I don't know whose channel you're watching on. If you got a wrench, chances are it's probably John's.
It's yours.
Again, is it mine? Okay.
Yeah.
I know most of the wrenches coming from yours and midlife, but he's not with us today. But StreamYard, I can't answer that. I again, once I get off this, I'm going to figure out what that problem is. But yeah, just keep leaving that.
Yeah,
You can always call the
StreamYard's
studio
actually really
line.
funny.
I don't know why, but they're playing games and stuff. You know, they've got it to where, you know, all three of us basically can't operate the same because, I mean, details are what they are. I mean, you know, all three of us could basically do the same thing, you know,
I don't
in a
know.
sense. But now we can't because they updated things. So we're also losing comments. So I apologize for that.
I can't find it now, but I was gonna say I was looking through the comments and somebody said they wanted to join. I don't know where the link is to have them join. So
If you go into all three channels, whether it's Grumpy's, John's, or mine, go down about midway down all the words, you'll see join the show and you'll see a StreamYard link. It's right there. It's underneath join the show. It's right in the description. It's also pinned at the top of the comments. So if you want to click there as well, it should be pinned at the top of the comments. Things are so screwy tonight. I honestly don't know if I did or not.
well, while you're doing that,
Yeah, he's saying he's watching on my channel. Thank you for that, WCF.
Yeah.
7C says, be honest, we are all looking out for a bottom line, so we can't be upset with megas doing the same thing.
no,
Very
not
true.
at all.
Very true. My thing is, I would like to see this as an opportunity to even the playing field, you know, because think about this. Mega carriers comprise 15% of the overall inventory and capacity in this country, but they exert the most power and influence on laws, rules, policies, safety, everything. Now, some things that's good. I mean, I can't challenge innovation and advancement's great, but there's some, and I know y'all know what I'm talking about. There's some, we don't need that kind of influence. We need equal footing. We need equal playing field. We need to be able to do the same thing for our interests and bottom lines that the mega carriers do.
You're not going to be able to do that.
Well,
they're going to have a distinct advantage because they're bigger.
But this actually helps, though. If we can actually get laws pipelined in the right direction rather than willy-nilly, just at a moment's notice because a mega carrier says it has to happen, think about how that'll slow that down. That'll give us the extra time we need. It'll give us the extra space we need to gather the resources to actually challenge anything that doesn't benefit us. Because up to now, if they want to pass a law, all they got to do is pay a lobbyist. They go and get it done, and it's done. You can't change it. Now they've got to go to Congress, and they've actually got to pay people, and they've actually got to go through the process. Think about how much longer that's going to take.
Yeah. Yep. You know? No, I actually saw a truck today. I think it's Snyder that I saw. They have that exemption where they don't have to have mirrors. They just use cameras. You know what I mean? You don't see them that often, so it kind of freaked me out when I looked over and the guy didn't have any mirrors. But
I've seen a couple of those. Yeah, I know.
That exemption is another example of, you know, because that's a law. The mirrors are a law, actually written law on paper, passed through Congress that you have to have mirrors. So I'm wondering, like, how far does this thing go? I mean, I don't really want the cameras. I'm not gonna lie to you, but I'm just curious, like, how far does this thing go?
Yeah, who wants the expense? I mean, cameras are great; they're nice, and to have these long things, you know, on the left or whatever instead of the mirrors, I mean, it's great that you're reducing your footprint, as it were. But who has the money? I mean, because mega carriers invest in this kind of stuff. They've got stocks and shares investment. No, we don't. We can't do this stuff the same way they can. So I mean, that's one of the things I was talking about a minute ago. I mean, who has money to fork out $2,500 a month for an electric truck, for God's sakes? You know, who here realizes by current laws the way they are, by 2036, you're not going to be able to register a diesel engine anywhere in California, and other states are adopting similar legislation. Who's going to overturn that? Is that one of those things that the Chevron doctrine can help us fight and have actually instead laid out a blueprint and time that makes sense rather than forces us in the next 12 years to suddenly, you know, invest $250,000 in a truck that really, I mean, the way they are today, you can't even go for 400 or 500 miles. They're
Well,
and it was said, Pete Buttigieg the other day admitted that these electric trucks in his hearing the other day said the electric trucks right now are a mainstay for the regional and close to base. The over the road drivers like you and me, we have to rely on diesel engines or alternative fuels. That was the point he made too. So even he knows, but yet they're pushing this agenda of making it so that in a span of 12 years from now, we have to get rid of this crap, buy their crappy electric stuff, and in 12 years after that, you can't do nothing.
Yeah.
I think we need more time, and maybe the Chevron doctrine will help us get that time.
I think so. I think it's a win for the small guy. It's very rare small guys get a win, but
Yeah.
I do believe it's a win.
Yeah.
I just want to answer WCF Invaders, the last comment there. No, it's not a test truck. There was three companies that were given exemptions, so they weren't required to have mirrors. They're using the cameras as their mirrors. They actually have like in a car you have a backup camera on the side. They have mirror cameras. So instead of looking this way, they're looking at their cameras.
There's a few companies doing a prototype on that. It's not just one carrier.
There's quite a few of them because I've seen them around Oklahoma and Texas and everything.
Well, I know there was 3 exemptions given. I don't know if there's more since then. I know Snyder was one of them. I don't know about the rest of them though.
I was just going to mention them. I know that Total. I think Total.
Hirschbach too.
I was not going to mention it because I wasn't sure, but I know I've seen a couple of the U.S. Express, Total. I think they're the same company still. They used to be. I don't know if they are now, but I've seen a couple of their red rigs with no mirrors and that gizmo up top. So I've seen a couple of those. So a number of them are doing it. It's prototype, but and like you said, they probably have to get a waiver because it is a safety thing. So who knows?
I don't know myself. I wouldn't like it. I like my mirrors.
No, I don't want to get off on a tangent, but Grumpy, you don't use the upgraded version of StreamYard, right?
I don't know. I use my StreamYard.
You don't pay for it, right?
No.
Okay. Yeah. See, Kyle down below, he's saying he's having trouble, and StreamYard saying you have to upgrade. You don't have to go upgrade. Get on there and play with it. You don't have to upgrade it. You can just use the basic version. You'll have a StreamYard logo up in the corner, but other than that, it works just like everybody else's. And you can only link like one channel, I think, which is fine for you, or maybe 2. I don't know.
Depending on the money that you get from your YouTube venture, if you're monetized, or if you've got the extra money, it actually is not a bad investment to pay for the basic monthly package, which is what I do. I don't pay for it every month. I paid for it all in one shot. But even that, I mean, you're not getting everything, but you get enough and it works. But even the free version, like John said, the only downfall is the logo. So, but how many streamers are out there doing just that? I mean, come on.
No one cares about a logo up in the corner.
No one does. Yeah, I personally would. So, good point though. But yeah. Just keep trying. Rolling Stone, you have one hell of a channel. Maybe you can sit there and play Start Me Up, and we'll all have a party one night. That one, by the way, my favorite Rolling Stone song, Start Me Up.
He was asking when you're going to go visit him in the comments.
Yeah, I already answered that. Yeah.
Oh, you did? Oh, okay.
Yeah. At some point, whenever I get around to our New Jersey depot, I'm not letting it slip yet who I work for. I'm waiting on my vlogs to catch up. I want to do it a certain way. So, yeah, the secret is in.
Stay tuned.
Yeah. So, yeah, stay tuned. Exactly. So, I mean, how do you think, based on everything we're talking about, how do you think it will affect everyday Americans? Just think about this. I mean, truckers, yeah, we're a large part of it. I mean, but just everyday Americans. Think about the amount of laws that are out there right now that have been passed the same way. The amount of videos that I've seen, people complaining about EPA and HOA this. And I mean, just think how crazy.
HOA is different. That's a private.
Well, I
But
know. I'm just saying. But a
but
lot of
no,
things are brought on because of the EPA, like waters, irrigation, zoning, all kinds of stuff. Just think how crazy this crap is going to get.
oh
I
yeah, I
mean,
mean it's not just truckers that are affected. I
yeah,
mean, think about it. The different government agencies have set up regulations for a bunch of different
yeah,
industries. So we're asking this about trucking because we're truckers, but in reality, there's a large swath of industries that are affected by this. And I'm surprised it's not on the nightly news, but I have yet to see it on anything except for trucking news channels.
yeah.
So
I haven't seen it very much at all. Just I'll be interested to see some of the downfall or the nuclear term. What I'm thinking, the fallout. The fallout. I don't know. I haven't had enough Mountain Dew, so I'm a little slow on the uptake today. But back to our earlier thing. Do you think that what they just did made things even easier for corporations, or do you think, like I said earlier, that they're going to have to
Well,
work
there
a little bit?
again, something like this that just happened, each state has their own abilities to enforce certain things. And I guarantee you, California is not going to come out of it. They're going to continue enforcing it. And then there's
Right.
probably a
But
couple other states that follow California.
well, okay, but let's not confuse anybody. Okay, each state has the ability to pass whatever laws are federally acceptable and fall within DOT and FMCS guidelines where we're concerned. I can't speak to anybody else, but where trucking is concerned, they are free to pass whatever laws they think is necessary for public safety and the safety of everybody traveling in their roads if it does not exceed or fall outside of already established parameters for FMCSA and DOT. They have their windows. They've got certain things they've got to do. But that doesn't change what the FMCSA and the DOT has already done, which, as I said earlier, is now a big question mark because Chevron ruling says so. The outside agencies are now responsible to go to Congress and get the laws passed the right way. The last 40 years, they haven't. So
4
is it
years,
too much?
40.
Well, 40 years. Is that what I said?
Yeah, you said
There
4,
we
but
go.
that's okay. We
No.
know what you meant.
But now think about this. Think about this. Now, am I jumping the gun by assuming that anybody and everybody will question the last 40 years and suddenly looked over it? Or will it just be now an acceptance of, okay, they're past, they're done. Let's do this moving forward and forget what we've already done. What do you think?
That's my fear. I think until someone challenges it, that is the direction that it looks like the authorities are taking. But eventually someone's going to challenge this to 100%.
I mean, who here
Like I
thinks like
said,
me?
California will be the first ones to start doing the challenging because they're not going to
Well,
like it one bit.
Who here thinks like me? Put it in the comments. Let me hear you. I'm of the opinion that the biggest thing that needs to be challenged right now is this whole EV agenda. Zero emissions is the way to go. Don't misunderstand me. I have absolutely no problem with the zero emissions guidelines. However, I think it needs to slow the hell down. I've said that since the beginning. And if this Chevron doctrine does nothing, I think it should wake the eyes up or open the eyes and wake up the legislators to, hey, maybe now we have what we need to do just that. Let's sit back and make sensible guidelines that give us the time, the money, and the resources we need and get it done the right way. Zero emissions is cool. But if you're doing it on the backs of the hard men and women out there that are like you and me, working our asses off, that can't afford $250,000 for a freaking EV truck, it's wrong. Let's get it to where it takes the time necessary to make the money, to change the markets, to develop the demand, and then fit the supply. Because right now, everything's bass backwards.
We just don't have the technology yet. We really don't. Not to mass produce it and not to even do it really. I mean,
Technology,
if you look
one thing, but
if you
the
look in the
resources are
comments,
something else.
say it again.
technology is one thing, but the resources are something else.
Well, I think it's both. I don't even think we have like the technology to do it yet. We're close, but we're not there. Like every time this question comes up to me, you've heard me say this. Not in my driving career. I will not see a majority of electric trucks or hydrogen trucks or whatever trucks other than diesel in my career. It'll be after I'm gone. So what is that? 10, 15, 20 years at the most? So
I've said far along and away, we need at least 4 years. We need 4 decades. Okay. That's a minimum. I think probably need longer because I think the resources are not available. And I think we need to do it in a combination of not only EV trucks, but also alternative fuels. And I think people are real light on that. And they don't think about that. The regulators, the Pete Buttigieg's, and the FMCSA leaders and all that. They're not thinking about that. Alternative fuels are the way to go, and it can be done and dialed up to be zero emissions. They just need the time to do it. So if anyone's on I-95 in North Carolina tomorrow night, Petro and Kenley has a big fireworks show they do every year. Thank you for reminding me. I would love to be there. Unfortunately, I'm going to be between Colorado and, Colorado. That's all you guys need to know. I'm hating that already. WCF Invaders.
All right.
A rock in a hard place. Is that basically what you're saying?
Thank you. I appreciate that, John. I believe the future of OTR is electric truck on a hybrid basis, meaning electrified drivetrain with a generator providing power. What the generator will run on remains to be seen. Like John said, I think that's years in the future. I think the alternative fuels are the hybrid answer, to be honest with you. If you want to do electric, fine. I get the electric side of it. I get the push and the reason. But I think alternative fuels are really the way to go. We're talking biodiesel. We're talking a mixture of kerosene. There's also some other hydrogen technologies that they're exploring. So I'm real excited to know that there are options out there, but no one's breaking the ice. No one's breaking the I want to invest mold. And that's what the holdup has been so far. And to the 404 trucker, no, it's not a Indiana Jones hat. It's just a boss man hat. But thank you for noticing.
And mine's a Driving with John hat. I know no one mentioned it, but mine's a Driving with John hat.
If I could get a logo put up here, I would, but the holes would probably disintegrate. So yeah, it's about to get retired, but I'm glad you like it anyway. Can't imagine big oil industry like them or hate them will allow EV to complete. Not really. I don't think they'll completely take over. At least not while I'm driving. Maybe, if y'all are young and fine. If y'all are young enough, you might see it, but not me. I'm sorry. I think it's going to take way too long. I don't think they have the technology for complete EV to completely take over. I really don't. But that's why we're all human, and that's why this show is making such a grand hit. Everybody has an opinion. Doesn't necessarily mean it has to be the right one, but it's an opinion, and I welcome all of them. So thank you for leaving that comment. I appreciate that.
And depending on who you're talking to, they might stink. I'm just saying.
I was just thinking that.
Let's think about some other regulations. What are some other regulations that in the past our industries had to deal with that you'd like to see up for question? Do you think of any, Frank?
Speed limit. Whenever they changed the speed limit for us truck drivers, that's kind of a deal that happened overnight.
I think that's a state by state thing, though.
Yeah, I was going to say that's a state by state thing.
It was regulated. It was regulated by the feds for the longest, where it was double nickel only, all through the United States.
You're talking about something you're talking about something that was passed before the Chevron ruling. That was back in the 70s. Yeah, that was way back in the 70s.
Well, you said something that was. Never mind. Forget it.
Well, no. If you think of it, mention it. I'd like to give everybody something to go on. There is such a thing called hope, and it does work. What about you, John? What do you think? Any regulations with trucking that you think could be up for grabs?
I don't know, but I agree with Seven Seas. He says, I hope the rapture happens before we go all electric. Amen. Amen, brother.
I don't know.
um,
You just perked a few people's attention on that one, but
yeah.
we'll leave that for another live show. Come on, John. What do you think?
Well, I already talked about the ELD. I mean, that would be the other huge one for the trucking industry. Trying to think of other things, but I mean, they're talking about passing a law for regulated speeds that is it would actually be a law. So if they pass it through Congress, last I knew it was going through the FMCSA. So does that now get thrown out and scrapped because it's not going through Congress?
Like to know.
We could hope so. We could hope so.
Yep.
Huh.
Yep.
I'm flickering.
Already, International's already testing a hybrid truck they claim gets 16 miles per gallon, completely electrified with a diesel engine to service generator. See, now, I said that.
Wait, where's
trying
that
to remember when it was. I said that a while ago, and one of you guys challenged me on that because right there, what he's talking about is exactly the type of technology and setup most trains use. But somebody called me foolish for thinking that would ever work in a truck. I don't remember who that was. I don't think it was you. I want to say it was somebody that's not on the panel, so I'm not going to mention names right now.
All right, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. Tri-State Trucking Company, I guess, has been running commercials here in Oklahoma, having drivers say they make more money than ever working for them. Okay.
I guess they're running. I guess he's saying they're running electric, and they're actually making more money with the electrics.
Probably doing local stuff, because I can't see, with the lack of infrastructure and everything else involved, I can't see them doing over the road. Even Pete Buttigieg just said in Congress the other day, there's just not the technology for that yet. It's going to be a while. So, but think about that. Think about how many millions of dollars it's going to take to even get close to being able to rely on over-the-road stuff like that. Not to mention how fast it takes these things to charge.
Well, I think Larry's last comment kind of spells it out too. I mean, just take it on a personal level, not a truck level. I mean, they're pushing electric cars down all of our throats on a personal level, but yet, there's rolling brownouts, there's all these other issues because people don't always charge during the not peak times, like not everybody's life fits peak and not peak times for electric.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah. I mean, just what I'm a comment behind because, and I'm playing on a thought here. And just what he's pointing out here in his comment on the screen, kerosene is jet fuel, number one diesel, right? Actually, when it comes to petroleum, there's 3 different grades right around kerosene. A little heavier than kerosene is diesel, which is what we run. Then you have kerosene. Then if you thin it out and refine it even more, then you've got jet fuel. So there's your 3 stages right there. And think about it. We don't have as many jets in the air. So why don't we start using some of that stuff? I mean, think about that. Go 110 miles an hour on the road. It really changed the trucking industry, wouldn't it?
Or maybe turn all the jets into electric. I don't know.
Hey,
they're already working on that. They're already working on that, John.
I would not do that.
I think I would need more than this. Just this right here.
Yeah.
If planes go electric, I'd need something a little heavier than this.
Yeah, I think I'd have to be forced on that plane. I'm
telling you, they're already working on it.
Get on an electric plane is if I were in a coffin. Just saying. Anyway, he says they say.
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
We're just ignoring.
Oh, okay. I figured it out.
We can do that. We can do that. Let me get to Larry's comment before he thinks I'm ignoring him. Okay.
Okay.
Electricity at home, air conditioning, etc., but want to force electric cars on us. And I think that's really 90% of it. Really, I don't think electric's the way to go because you know what? They still have not eliminated the carbon footprint out of the electric that's generated in this country. They're trying, but it's still not quite there. And I'm sorry, but we're still generating exhaust to make electric. There's still coal-fired plants. There's still alternative fuel plants. You know, we're not reliant enough on the nuclear thing. There ain't enough rivers around to generate the hydrostatic generators. So yeah, we got a little ways to go on that one. Some companies have already tested electric planes.
I'm telling you, they're already got them. Y'all didn't listen to me a while ago when I said that.
No, I heard you say it, and that's why I said they would have to physically put me on a plane at point, if you know what I mean. So yeah, there's no way I'm ever getting on an electric plane. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But
Had to find a whole new career then, huh?
Why don't we just make it solar? Why don't we just make it a solar plane? I mean, well, what could go wrong, right?
Here's an interesting thought just occurred to me. You know how regulated we are as an industry, right? Trucking and all that.
Pilots.
What do you think? What do you think is going to happen now to the airline industry? Several of their rules and regulations have been passed post Chevron ruling.
Oh yeah, a lot of them have been actually.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not an airline channel, but I'll tell you what, certainly has me wondering. I mean, because think about it. I mean, there's a lot of different industries that are going to be affected by this. I mean, you know, besides ours, and ones we mentioned, Grumpy, what do you think? I mean, do you think there's any big changes on any industries you're familiar with besides ours? Think about all.
Not that I can think off the top of my head, but it's like I said, things are going to get wild now that has basically been dumped. You know, things are going to get rather wild, and I'm afraid to find out what's going to happen.
Yeah,
I feel like they knew. I feel like they knew this was coming. The reason why I say that is, like, look at the FDA. Okay, they did everything they could to push along a bill through Congress that passed and made, I don't know how to say it on YouTube, but made the smoke legal. And so that was actually passed by law. But the other organizations weren't passing things by law, they were rubber stamping. Now, I think they saw this coming and they knew eventually it was going to all fall apart. I actually do believe that. And the ones that they want to stick, they passed the law for. The ones that didn't, they rubber stamped. So.
Yep.
Well, somebody already challenged something, and that brought this whole thing in the forefront. I don't remember what the whole argument was. I doubt it was the whole 420 thing. But
no, I don't think it was.
I think it was something to do with transportation. I don't know exactly. But next live we have, I'll give you an update because I'm going to look further into this, and I'll probably have a follow-up to this live. Don't know what it's going to be called. I haven't planned it or scheduled it yet. But I would certainly like to look deeper in and drop a comment down there. Let me know if you want to find out how many laws could conceivably change. And if you can think of any, put them in the comments. All right? Because the way I see it is we got about another 6-7 minutes. I may be talking. I may decide to go long. I may decide to cut it short. Well, let me know. If you want to look deeper into this, I would like to hear from you.
Actually, the case was brought to court by New England fishermen. It wasn't even by trucking. Because they were regulated outside of the law of our country. And so they actually took up a lawsuit and won. Yeah, I'm just actually glancing down, going over it quickly with my eyes, and that kind of caught me. I'm actually a little surprised by that. Okay, guys, how are we not organized enough? No offense to fishermen, because I love to fish, but how are we not organized enough? We got 350 million truckers, and we couldn't do it before the fishermen can. How did we get beat by fishermen? Come on,
I think you're a little high on the number, but yeah, we do have a great number of truck. I don't think there's
3.5 million.
3.5. Yeah, your decimals were a little off, but yeah.
Oh, what did I say?
You said 350 million.
Oh, geez, heck no. That'd be everybody driving a truck.
Well, it almost seems that way now. No pun intended, but
I don't know. I don't want my son behind the wheel. He's scary.
Yeah, that is scary. But let me know in the comments, guys, if you want to see me look deeper into some more specific laws. I'd be happy to, because I'll tell you what, that would make some interesting TV to talk about all this stuff. And, somebody's got to wake these guys up about this kind of stuff. I mean, because you think about it. To your point, John, if the fishermen can go to court and win over and make something like this Chevron thing get overturned, what I've been saying for a while now, how hard can it be to get not everybody, but just enough people together to make a difference? Think about it. We don't have to become a union. We don't have to become unified so much. But if we all think alike and we all share the same doctrine, as it were, of what we want for the industry we ride in.
Yeah.
Don't you think it'd be that much easier to get things like this done? I really do. I mean, and I've said for a while, that's what we need to do.
Well, and I feel honestly,
not unionize. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead, Frank.
I feel honestly that basically the way that should happen too is people like you and I that are drivers out here should have some kind of a vote, say something in this before they pass all this crap.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't ask us.
No. Well, they do, but I mean, to your point, how long did they give us? What, 30-day time? 45-day?
Yeah, that's not enough.
And the way the system's working now, I don't think that's enough time. Number one. Number two, the process is really fragmented, and it does not represent the industry. It represents the corporations, but it does not represent the industry. So I think that too should change. What do you think, John?
Yeah, I think, I think there's a big battle ahead of us either way. Now that I'm realizing who brought the lawsuit, I'm wondering if it really hasn't been challenged by the trucking industry yet. So are we just gonna, as our government, just gonna look away and go, well, those are the regulations right now, until somebody pushes their luck? Because I think if, the fishermen can do it, nothing against the fishermen, but we can do it too, guys.
Yeah. How long do either one of you two think it takes Todd Spencer to wake up? You guys know who Todd Spencer is, right?
Sounds familiar.
Memory.
The name Todd Spencer is the CEO and president of the OOIDA. He is one of the guys that actually does fight for the individual trucker. Now, to be represented by him or to even hear about him or know about him, you actually have to join the OOIDA. But he's one of those people I think would be more than willing to go up against some of these rules and laws. And now that the Chevron doctrine is something that's in question, how long do you guys think it'll take? Any guesses?
I don't know. I'm just reading some of these comments, and I realized that that Larry Schmidt said something about you can't get Americans to agree on anything. We don't need everybody to agree. We only need the truckers to agree, and then we can get what we want out of this. And we don't even need all the truckers. Just I don't know, a third of us, and all of a sudden everything would change.
Enough to make a difference.
Yep.
Final thoughts, Frank?
Well, just basically kind of like John was saying, that the majority of us coming together and we can get this taken care of. But our biggest problem is most of us all work for big companies and corporations, so it makes it a